The Bodleian Library. The Bodleian Library is not one library, but many libraries together located at the University of Oxford. Libraries in the Bodleian Libraries group include major research libraries, libraries attached to faculties, departments, and other institutions of the university, and, of course, the principal university library, the Bodleian Library, which has been a library of legal deposit for 400 years. It is one of the oldest libraries in Europe and the second largest library in Britain, with 12 million printed items. The first purpose-built library was built in approximately 1320 in the University Church of St. Mary the Virgin, in a room which still exists today. By 1488, the room was superseded by the library known as Duke Humfrey's, which constitutes the oldest part of the Bodleian. The library lasted only 60 years. In 1550, the Dean of Christ Church, hoping to purge the English Church of all traces of Catholicism, including superstitious books and images, removed all the library's books, some to be burnt. In 1556, the room was taken over by the Faculty of Medicine. The library was rescued by Sir Thomas Bodley, a fellow of Merton College and a diplomat in Queen Elizabeth I's court. In his retirement, he decided to set up my staff at the library door in Oxon, being thoroughly persuaded that in my solitude and surcease from the Commonwealth fairs, I could not busy myself to better purpose than by reducing the place, which then in every part lay ruined and waste, to the public use of students. In 1598, the old library was refurnished to house a new collection of some 2,500 books, some of them given by Bodley himself. In 1610, he entered into an agreement with the Stationers' Company of London under which a copy of every book published in England and registered at Stationers' Hall would be deposited into the new library. In 1610 to 1612, Bodley planned and financed the first extension to the medieval building, known as Art's End. The last addition to Bodley's buildings came in 1634 to 1637, when another extension to Duke Humfrey's library was built. It is still known as Selden End, after the lawyer John Selden, who made a gift of 8,000 books. Another tradition, still zealously guarded, is that no books were to be lent to readers. Even King Charles I was refused permission to borrow a book in 1645. The early 18th century saw an increase in library building at Oxford, the finest building being a building built by John Radcliffe. The monumental circular domed building, Oxford's most impressive piece of classical architecture, was built between 1737 and 1748, based on the designs of James Gibbs, and it was finally opened in 1749. By 1788, the rooms on the first floor were given over to library use, and by 1859, the whole of the school's quadrangle was in library's hands. This left more space for sorting books, which was further increased in 1860, when the Radcliffe Library was taken over by the Bodleian and renamed the Radcliffe Camera. The word camera means room in Latin. By the beginning of the 20th century, an average of 100 people a day were using the library. The number of books had reached the million mark by 1914. To provide extra storage space, an underground bookstore was excavated beneath Radcliffe Square in 1909 to 1912. It was the largest such store in the world at the time. In 1931, the decision was taken to build a new library, with space for 5 million books, library departments and reading rooms, on a site occupied by a row of old timber houses on the north side of Broad Street. The new Bodleian, as it was known then, was designed by Sir Giles Gilbert Scott and went up in 1937 to 1940. Most recently, the new Bodleian building was completely renovated and reopened with large public and new academic spaces at the Weston Library in 2015. So, as cool as the Bodleian is, what does it have to do with Harry Potter? The Bodleian has served as a location for many films over the years, including X-Men First Class and The Golden Compass, but is perhaps most widely recognizing for doubling as Hogwarts Library in the Harry Potter film franchise. Duke Humfrey's library was actually used as Hogwarts Library, and the Gothic vaulted ceiling of the Divinity School was used as Hogwarts Infirmary in Harry Potter and the Philosopher's Stone. Thank you for listening about the Bodleian Library, and I hope you find it as fascinating as I do.